Disclaimer, if you ever skipped nicknaming your Pokemon because you couldn't think of anything good, this video fixes that. This video covers every step you need to take to create the perfect Pokemon nickname for any playthrough. I can confidently say you will never need another Pokemon nickname guide after watching this one. If you want your team and your playthrough to genuinely be more memorable, nicknames are essential. That one simple prompt, would you like to give a nickname, is literally the difference between this is just a creature I caught and this is my partner for that entire run. Finding one that truly fits and doesn't make you cringe 10 hours later is harder than it sounds. So I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to choose names that feel intentional, clean, and high quality. And I'll prove the system works by creating nicknames myself. This video will move quickly because there's a lot to cover, so make sure you subscribe and actually lock in. On screen right now are nicknames I've either seen or created that I personally consider to be perfect. They may look simple, but they follow specific patterns. I've broken those patterns down into a list of trainer tips which you can apply to come up with similar names. If you want to move through this faster, you can increase the playback speed. If you do though, just make sure you drop a like so more trainers can find this. Also make sure to save this video so you never get stuck at the nickname screen again. Also comment your proudest nickname at the end, even if it's just to boost the video because I want this to reach as many trainers as possible. Thanks, and let's begin. Remember that the nickname you choose is the name you'll see every single time that Pokemon enters battle, every time it levels up, every time it evolves, and every time it saves you in battle. So between something like X-Ash A12 and something like Flameo, which one would you rather see for 40 hours? You must keep this in mind when choosing a nickname, because you're picking the name that represents that Pokemon for that entire run. And if you choose something that only works for that first 10 minutes, it's gonna feel off later. And this is the first thing people forget. Future evolution compatibility matters. A name that fits a tiny first stage might feel awkward once it becomes a final form twice your character's height. So before you confirm it, just ask yourself one question. Will this still make sense when it evolves? Anything can technically be a nickname. It doesn't have to directly relate to the Pokemon species. As an example, one of my friends named his Garchomp Jeff, and somehow it worked. It felt intentional and it actually added personal weight to the ridiculously powerful Garchomp, because every time it entered battle, it wasn't just a Pokemon anymore, it was a memory. On screen now are additional nicknames I've come up with that work really well for Garchomp. They're not all perfect, but they show what strong nicknames tend to look like. Don't make your nickname hard to pronounce. It should be simple and easy to say, because if you can't say it out loud without hesitating, it's gonna feel like a random password instead of a name. If I see something like this, I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at, and if it's not instantly readable, it's not instantly memorable. If possible, base your nickname around one clear word so you instantly know what to call it. And if you're combining multiple words, try putting the core name first and the modifier second. Melon Lord sounds better than Lord Melon, and you'll probably end up calling it Melon anyways. This is optional, but it reads better and sounds better, and it feels like you chose it on purpose. Having a longer, more descriptive nickname is usually better, but not always. If it's longer just for the sake of being longer, it might not look that great. And this is also where people mess up with the character limit. Every game has one, so if your nickname is so long it looks cramped or chopped in menus, it immediately stops feeling polished. Would you rather name your Pokemon Boulder Jr. spelled without the R because of the 12 character limit, or with the Junior abbreviated, short and simple? I would 100% settle for the clean name because it looks purposeful and not like something you had to compromise for. You want the name you choose to seem like you wanted it from the start. This one is underrated, but it matters. If you battle or trade online, your nickname becomes part of your visible identity, and whether you like it or not, other people are gonna judge it. So choose something you're comfortable showing publicly, because a nickname that feels funny at 2 AM sometimes feels embarrassing the next day when it's in a screenshot. Wanting an OG name might not be good. Naming your Weedle, literally Weedle, doesn't make it yours. It makes it feel like everyone else's. Try and make your nickname unique enough that it actually stands out from the base game. And along with this, it's always good to have a backup naming style. For example, if you follow a theme like mythology, space, gemstones, chess pieces, food, whatever, you'll never be stuck because every new Pokemon can fit into that system. This helps with organization. You're not confused every time you catch something. And honestly, if you've ever seen someone's team and every nickname somehow fits together, it's because they're doing this. Make your nickname easy to read. This is done by using real words or clean modifications of words, not random letters. Of course, this comes down to preference, but try not to make your nickname impossible to understand. Replacing letters with numbers almost never improves the nickname. If you turn L-O-K-I Loki into L0-K-I, it doesn't look better, it looks compromised. Don't repeat letters awkwardly when combining words or at the end of words. Something like Luna with 3 A's just looks messy. Before you even pick a nickname, decide the tone. Do you want something soft sounding like Moana, or something sharper and more plosive like Tsunade? Knowing this heavily narrows your range and speeds up the process. Avoid article words like D, A, and An. The Spaghetti usually looks like a forced name instead of a genuine nickname. When you step back and look at all these tips together, one rule quietly explains almost all of them. A strong Pokemon nickname should never feel accidental. It should feel chosen. It should feel like it naturally belongs to that Pokemon the moment it appears in battle. The best names are unique, clean, and purposeful, without anything extra cluttering them. And once you start applying that mindset, your nicknames will immediately start feeling better than most. Naming Pokemon is never a linear process. It's rare that you come up with the perfect nickname on your very first try. When I first started playing Pokemon, I didn't nickname anything at all. I would just press no every time the game asked me, but eventually I started experimenting with it. I remember naming my first Bulbasaur Planty, and for about 5 minutes I thought that was the greatest nickname ever created. That did not last long. Over time, I started realizing something. Good names don't just appear instantly. You refine them. You start noticing which ones feel clean, which ones feel awkward, and which ones you actually enjoy seeing when the Pokemon enters battle. And just like Pokemon themselves evolve over time, your naming style evolves too. A name that sounded amazing when you first started playing might feel a little childish later, and that's normal. The important thing is that the process gets easier the more you do it. And if you already have a nickname you like right now, you can always improve it later at the name rater. But if you're starting completely from scratch and your brain just freezes at the nickname screen, here's a simple way to brainstorm. Write down traits of the Pokemon. This can be their typing, the way they look, how they behave. Then write down related words, how these words make you feel, what they make you remember. Rearrange them, combine them. This alone gives you dozens of options. Another easy way to get ideas is looking at nicknames online. Sites like this have hundreds of suggestions for almost every Pokemon. Let's say I want a name for my Mimikyu, I can search for it and immediately see options like Peekaboo, Casper, or Patches. But sometimes a name sparks a bigger idea. For example, I might see the name Stitch, and that reminds me of the movie Lilo and Stitch. Both the movie and Mimikyu share a similar theme, wanting to be loved, and that famous line "Ohana means family" actually fits Mimikyu perfectly. So instead of Stitch, I might name this Mimikyu Ohana. This is our inspiration lane. It's a name that feels like it belongs inside the Pokemon world. Inspiration is always good. If there's a character in a show you like, use that as a nickname. Sometimes you can lean into the Pokemon's type because type carries built-in symbolism, and if your Pokemon is dual type, you can blend those lanes and create something that feels way more unique. Other times, the strongest name comes from the personality, because you're naming how the Pokemon feels, not what it is. A mischievous Pokemon can have a mischievous name. A calm Pokemon can have a calm name, and that ends up feeling more personal. Or you can name off appearance, because the first thing you react to is literally what it looks like, and sometimes the design is more iconic than the typing. And yes, you can also do funny names and cute names, but the difference between funny that works and funny that's cringe is whether it still feels intentional. Okay, you may have heard of all these tips but don't know how to actually start. So now I'm gonna practice what I'm saying and find nicknames in real time. Let's say we just picked Mudkip. I'm immediately thinking water, mud, swamp, marsh. So I start scanning words in that space. Bog, delta, marsh, quagmire. That's interesting because a quagmire is literally a muddy swamp, and it also happens to be the last name of Glenn Quagmire from Family Guy. So Mudkip can literally be named Glenn, which I find pretty funny and it's recognizable. That's the system. You start with a type or appearance, follow the theme, and eventually you'll land on a reference. Let's say we just picked Rowlet. First thing I notice is the appearance. It's an owl. So immediately I'm thinking forest, feathers, hunter. But when Rowlet evolves into Decidueye, it literally becomes an archer. So now the theme shifts to bows and arrows, which naturally leads to the archetype of a forest archer, something like Robin Hood. That actually works perfectly, but if we take that idea one step further, we land on Hunger Games. Same weapon, same theme, our Rowlet becomes Katniss. That was only a few minutes, and already we have multiple solid nicknames. This shows that good names are everywhere. They just require structure. Wow, if you made it this far, I genuinely appreciate it. If you have any other tips, comment them to help other trainers. Subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I can confidently say you will enjoy the upcoming guides because I'm gonna keep making them until nobody ever gets stuck at the nickname screen again. And I will also try to help anyone who needs help in the comments. Thank you for watching.